This is Dr. Jake reporting from Clunker South, Jerkwater Division number 133. I'm putting back together this 6.0. It's a 2006 F-250 with a 6-liter. I don't even know why I'm doing this video. This is the first time I've ever done one of these things. I don't know how in the world I could really be the right one, expert on this, but anyway. The high pressure pump is back here at the back of the engine, up under all these pipes and under where the turbo goes. I've put the bracket back on it for the turbo. That's that part right there. And that tube is the drain for the turbo. I've got the valve covers off of it still. Took the oil manifolds off. I'm going to be replacing the O-rings on the top of these injectors. The injector kits that come from the Ford place do not have the O-ring that you need. The little small black O-ring that goes on the top of these injectors. So they used to get a, injector O-ring kit from the Ford place because it won't have what you need in it. And I'm in the process now of putting the intake manifold back on it. This truck has a EGR cooler kind of thing that goes right here. Connects, right in here, it connects with a clamp to the exhaust pipes. And I took a big socket right there to hold this big pipe up because you need a little bit of room. So this took a big socket and held it up. I don't know how Dr. G Bob does it, but anyway, that's how I did it. I got one bolt right there. I put a white dot on it and marked the intake manifold so I know, to put that bolt back where it goes. On this end of the cooler right here, where this light is, there is there's a spot right there where there's an O-ring, and it comes up into the bottom of the manifold. It's got an O-ring on it, and it's got water that runs through it. The way I did it was to connect the EGR cooler back here at the back with the clamp and just kind of snug it up, but not tight, where it still twists a little bit. Put that in there first, and then I came in with the manifold, left all these bolts hanging in it, and I was kind of wondering how in the world I was going to get the EGR cooler to pull back up into the manifold, because it's got to push down on that O-ring. So I had this idea to use a couple of these long bolts that these bolts actually goes in over here in the intake manifold. They're pretty long, but they're the same size as the two bolts that comes up into a flange right here on the oil cooler. So I used the longer bolts to make sure it's lined up. That's a seal that you don't want to cut, so you have to be kind of careful. But anyway, I used a couple long bolts to make sure that it is actually lined up. And then the next trick, would be to pull the cooler up into the manifold. You got to figure out a way to get it pulled up, up in there without messing up anything. I don't know how nobody else does it, but the way I did it was to use these two long bolts, and then I laid me something like this right here, and then I used some good old snap-on long needle nose, laid up in there like this, and to kind of pry it up on it. You can pull it up, sort of like that. I got it pulled up now, so you won't see it move. But anyway, that's the way I pull my EGR cooler up into the manifold. And I've got I done got all my bolts started, so I'm gonna be tightening it down. There's two bolts that goes through all this plastic business up here. So one goes right there. It's got a 15mm head on it. And then there's another on the other side, over here, right there. It's a little bit aggravating to get to, but you can get to it. I think I used a 3/8 pull handle in the socket to break it loose, and a little quarter drive to run it out. There's another bolt right here that a fuel line connects to right there. It's not too bad. That's your EGR valve. This tower looking thing, there's a big oil filter contraption sits on top of that. There's two bolts. It's a little bit of a challenge to have to deal with, that you have to do. I don't know if you can see them there or not. I've already got them in there, but they're back there at the back. It's two little 5/16 headed bolts. You can, what you can do is, see that triangle in that bracket right here? There's a triangle shape in that bracket. You can stick your hand through that. You have to crawl up on top of the motor, and have to crawl up on top of the motor so you can reach back that far and stick your hand through that triangle shaped hole. You can start them. It ain't too bad. The oil pump, like I said, is back here at the back. And I put a new solenoid on it. That solenoid is what controls your pressure. And it's not in a very good place. It's pretty hot right there. I found the wires that goes this thing, they're not in too good a shape. It'd been leaking exhaust all over it, and was all pretty smoky. The wires run through a harness that's insulated. Try to keep the heat off of them, but the wires were stuck together pretty good. You can get a new wiring pigtail to put right there, so I just got a new one and put on it. And instead of running the wires together, I run them separately. Got some of this stuff from the Napa store. Let's see if I can put the light on it so you can see it. I run my wires separately through two different things right here. That's supposed to be kind of a heat shield. To me, that made more sense to just run them separately so they won't stick together. Keep them out of trouble. Anyway, it's Saturday. I haven't worked Saturday in a long time. Thought I'd come up here and work on this Saturday where I'd get left alone. People have a tendency to want to mess with your head. You get your mind all focused in on something, and then somebody comes up and says something to you. They kind of getting you unfocused from what you was doing, because now instead of thinking about what you was doing, now you're thinking about what they said. So you don't really need that. That's why I come up here Saturday, hang this board together. It's too much work to go wrong. Come up here where I can focus in on it, be left alone. However, that ain't working either. I done wound up putting a wheel bearing on a Cadillac already. Want me to fix the wipers on a van. I ain't gonna do that today. Did do the wheel bearing. Can't turn down a good old gravy job. It don't take about, 15 minutes to do that? You get the brakes and the rotor and the tire off of it. Three bolts go straight through the hub. It's about 15 minutes. Ain't nothing but gravy. Can't turn down no gravy. I don't know if this will help anybody, but it might. You can kind of see how it looks. Better than old diagram on Metro. Got a bunch of little bitty wires feeding electrical looking things sitting on top of these injectors, and then the oil feeds in from the top of it. These O-rings on these injectors are like internal. They go inside of it instead of on the outside of it. You have to take something sharp and dig them out. There's some tubes that feeds the oil to the manifolds. Let me show you one there. It looks so like this.